Okay, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is brought to you by the City of Mission Viejo, and we're hosted by Esports College and Career Pathways. And so we're happy to be here to talk to parents about the esports industry as a whole, and of course, your individual experiences. So, um, the City of Mission Viejo has an esports program rollout. First part is the parent panel, which is what we're on today. And then we had the tournament that was held last Friday. We had over 125 players. It was a lot of fun, a little chaotic, but it was a lot of fun. We have workshops that we're offering this summer as well, which will go a little bit further in the presentation. We're going to be offering workshops in Rocket League, Fortnite, League of Legends, Overwatch, and Minecraft. Okay, and we'll also be holding future tournaments online as well, but we don't have those dates as of yet. So in today's discussion, I really wanted to cover the gamer's path from high school to college. But truthfully, not most, but some players really start their career in esports even earlier than that. They start in middle school. But today we'll focus on the high school path to college. And while playing in high school, what does that mean? Do you have to be on your high school team? Should you be on amateur leagues? Should you play competitively? Just play with your friends? And then the last big piece that a lot of parents would want to hear about is the scholarship part. How do we get scholarships? Who offers them? And are they really attainable? Okay, so our first guest to introduce is Alex. I've known Alex for a little while now. He not only played in high school, but he also started the program, which is very impressive for a high schooler. He started the actual esports program at his school along with being on the team, and he managed the team. But then on top of that, he worked as tournament administrator, which is how I met Alex. And then ultimately, he started Merck Esports, which he'll share more about. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about your background.
So I started my high school club in I think 2016. Um, at first, we only had like 10 members. It was just a League of Legends club. I actually kind of got not forced to make the club, but encouraged to make friends from one of my teachers. And then it kind of just started from there. Our assistant principal walked into one of our meetings one day, and he said that there was a couple tournaments going on, and he wanted to see if we were interested in joining. So I said sure, and I had no idea what that entailed or how much work it was, and it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Like I said, we started with 10 members. I mean, maybe even like 8. And by the time I left as a senior, we had over 150 members. We started doing tournaments on campus from other schools. We even had people from UCI come. We did a lot of Smash tournaments. We did events for like CLG. I put in a lot of work to build up that program, and it was a lot of fun.
Great, thank you. So you hit on a really important point about making friends, right? That's something I talk to parents a lot about. Whether you play at the high school level or play at the collegiate level, that's really a good way for you to find common ground with other kids in the school. So did you find that you were able to help others make friends too as well with the esports program?
Oh yeah, at first it wasn't about that. It was about just playing games and all that stuff. But then it kind of turned into like a safe place for those kids to come during lunch. Maybe they didn't have a lot of friends, or they just weren't as active as some of the other students on campus were,
Mhm.
and it just got them involved in the school. It was their way of being involved with the school, and that's the biggest thing that I learned is, it's not about the games. It's not about even if you win or not. It's about building a community and having a place to go where you know that you're safe, and everyone has kind of like the same interests.
Right. Okay, great. So if there was a high schooler out there that was interested in esports and does not have a program in their school, what recommendations would you make to them? Like, how would they start? And to be honest, how much work really was it for you? And would you do it again if you had to do it?
Oh, I would do it 100 times again. Like it was a lot of fun. It just depends on where you want take your club. I'm really ambitious and I like doing projects. So when I wanted to start it, I wanted to be the best in the district, and I felt like I got to that point. Um, but I put in hours and hours of work, and you don't have to do what I did. You can always start with just a couple friends, or you can go all the way and you can talk to your school administration. And I if you don't have a program, I would go talk to your school administration.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's the biggest thing that helped me was to get my assistant principal and principal on board. Now, I did come from a smaller school, and it might be harder if you go to a bigger school,
Hmm.
but it doesn't hurt. It also doesn't hurt to find staff that are interested on campus.
Right, right, right.
Um, that's
Okay.
the biggest thing is having, you can always start a club, but you need the support from staff and you need the support from, administrators.
Right,
And,
right.
that's what helped me a lot because, I was able to get, places on like the weekend when I did my CLG event. Um, you know, I did all the work for it. I contacted over like 25 schools. I mean, we had people come from, Oceanside. It was kind of crazy, and we're all the way in like Laguna Hills, so that's like, an hour drive, just for to watch LCS. So it was pretty cool, and I couldn't have done that without administration backing me on it, like 100%.
Right, and when Coach Ryan talks, he'll talk more about being a high school, coach as well. But I think you're absolutely right. My background also is in high school, right, being a team manager. And I think if it wasn't for a principal being behind it and giving us the facility and really giving us the leeway to do what we wanted and to engage kids, really, we couldn't have done it without him. But I do want to say, I know you're very humble, but I want to say to get in one season to be able to get, kids starting with eight of your friends to 100 kids involved, I think is a spectacular achievement. So thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay. All right, Alex, thank you. So next we have Zach. Zach Robinson. Okay, he is currently a sophomore playing at Bay State College in Boston. He plays support role for League of Legends on their team. He's majoring in management with a focus in marketing. But before you start, Zach, I want to give a shout out to Bay State College because they're one of our participating colleges in our College Combine series, along with, of course, Coach Ryan's school as well. But it's a great. I want to say thank you to your school for really stepping up and providing these scholarships that help a lot of kids. So, Zach, would you give us a little background on how you became where you got today, which is playing on a college team?
Right. So no problem. Yeah. So I started probably about I want to say about maybe 5 to 4 years ago. I started playing amateur League of Legends. So around 2016, 2015. There's a bunch of amateur leagues and stuff related. Before Discord, it was TeamSpeak, and we all connected with each other and we played in a league through there. So that's where I got my start. Playing in League of Legends tournaments, and then I was going through high school, still playing, and I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't sure where to go. But I found Bay State College, and they offered me a scholarship to come play for the team, so I decided to go there for college.
Right, that's great. Can you tell us like okay, how you found Bay State College? Because I think that's one of the most common questions.
Right. So I was on one of these websites. It's called Be Recruited. It's where colleges can go around and they can find players that are looking for opportunities at colleges, and that's where I was located at.
Great. And can you tell us what the experience was like being recruited by a college?
So yeah, it's actually it's kind of fun. So they treat you like you're an athlete basically. It is. So they what's it called? Like encourage you to come out and come visit the school, and they treat you just like every other student, but is a little bit more because you're playing for the school. It's actually a really smooth, easy process. It's not too difficult. All the basic stuff like you would apply for college. They made it very seamless. There's no issues at all when I was doing it. It was very enjoyable.
Okay, so I have a question for you because we talk about this a lot with different parents, right? About you, having a student that's on an official, college team. Can you tell us a little bit more about, do you find that as a freshman going to school away from home, having been on a team, was that a easy transition for you because you now have a structure and some support system?
Right. So at first, I live in New York, so it's kind of a far drive. It's about 5 hours from upstate New York to Boston. So I was leaving home. I was living on campus, leaving my parents. So it was kind of sad at first, but once you get into the routine of things, it's good. It's great. The team structure of having practices a week and then matches, scrims, all that. It's really refreshing. It makes you have more structure in your life, and it honestly personally made me more capable of doing my schoolwork because I knew what time I could set aside for my college work and what time I could set aside for the team. So it made me very structured as a person and going to college. It was very helpful to do that.
Okay, well, as a parent, I'm happy to hear that. So that's one of the common questions actually for a parent to ask, can they juggle both, right? And so sounds like you found that there was a happy medium where you could do both playing on a team, doing your best on there, as well as going to school and studying, which is why you're at school.
Right.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Zach. Okay, our last guest speaker today is Ryan Hines. He's the head coach of Concordia University in Nebraska. He coached at the high school level for 3 years, and he also led the Nebraska Schools Esports Association program as well in the state. But of course, again, before you start, Coach, I want to say thank you so much to Concordia University for being part of our colleges that supported our College Combine series. It's still going on today. We just finished Rocket League. We'll be doing League of Legends, and then, of course, Overwatch soon. So welcome. Would you tell us a little bit about your road to being the head coach now at Concordia?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a fun opportunity. We're colleges are always looking for something to sort of promote themselves and to get out there. So we appreciate what's going on here. But myself, it kind of started with the fact that my wife's a high school teacher, and she sort of noticed that there were several students who enjoyed esports, or sorry, enjoyed just video games, but they weren't even friends with each other in high school. They'd sit right across from each other, but they never talked to each other because why? But we we had the intention of just starting a gaming club, much like what Alex started, and just kind of growing from there to see what happened. And we decided we wanted a little bit more structure than just playing video games on a Saturday night. And so decided to kind of go farther and say, well, let's contact the other schools in our area and see if we can't just get some sort of a little league to happen. And we didn't really want to join the HSEL because it was kind of a bigger league, and we're a smaller school. So it was like, well, we won't ever be able to compete in that, but we can have a lot of fun and compete with the schools around us. So starting from there, it was like 2018 when we had our first tournament at our high school with like 5 different schools showing up. And then after that, in that summer, a group in Nebraska that does a lot of work for other schools in the area reached out and said, hey, have you guys thought about just forming your own league and really trying to kick it off in the whole state? So since then, we've grown up to about 22 different schools that are now a part of our league, with just more, inquiries all the time, and we're trying to get our name out there. But for me, I did that, and I was also working a job because my degree is in mechanical engineering. And as I was doing that, I kind of slowly just decided, I really want to do something esports full time to really kind of be able to help out the high school league, as well as maybe do something as far as on the college side. So when the opportunity came up for me to apply for the job at Concordia, it seemed I fit the bill about perfectly with my years of experience, just, helping the high school league and coaching some kids there. So it's kind of nice because it puts me in a position to really help out the local high school league and to do really what I love of coaching and leading on students to be successful academically, because they're interested in esports and have the opportunity to earn a scholarship to go to college for what they love. So
Right, absolutely. So, always had get some questions about how it is to be a coach, right? And I think I'd like to, if you don't mind, start with the high school level because I think they're very different animals, coaching at
Oh
high
yeah.
school versus coaching at college. And so, could you give us some advice on, let's say, if somebody was out there and they're a pretty good, League of Legends player, and they want to coach, um, how would you first start get into the coaching, in high school level, and what kind of background would you need to do that?
If you wanted to be a coach at the high school level, really all you need is more of an interest in teaching beginning students how to play the games. It it doesn't, I mean, and even there's some correlation. It doesn't require a lot of skill, just knowledge and how to do that. And I'll be honest, about 50% of the time, I'm really teaching kids how to play together on a team, not as much really teaching how to play the game. So there's kind of a mixture of, if you want to be a coach on the high school level, it's going to be a lot of introductory stuff. You are going to get those kids who just immediately pick up on it and they just kind of take off, and suddenly you're like, oh wow, okay, you're actually really good. Cool. Let's help you, to kind of build some more team skills, and then also to focus on your individual play. So a lot of it's team, building that team cohesion, while also being very patient in teaching the basics of the games themselves.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because a lot of people say that they spend most of their time as coaches, and I'm sure that Alex would have a better opinion on this. Is that you spend more time teaching the team building skills than you do actually game knowledge, right? Because I think gamers intuitively kind of pick up on game knowledge really quickly, but perhaps effective communication is not quite there, or strategic thinking, that kind of skill I think is probably more lacking than game skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And we run a 7 through 12 league, so that's seventh and eighth graders. I mean, we're talking 13-year-olds who have no idea how to talk to a team and communicate effectively. So once they become juniors and seniors and sophomores, there's kind of that flip of a switch where even on like actual sports teams, they really mature and kind of figure it out. And I mean, it's the exact same thing.
Right, right, right. So how about college? Coach at the collegiate level, how is that different?
It's different on most scales because you now have to deal with recruitment and going out to find the students who fit um, your program as well as your school. So in other words, in high school, it's just, well, here's the kids you have, go for it, have fun. But on the college side, it's a lot of, all right, here's a student. Do they have, are they looking for the degree that your college can provide? Are they looking for the kind of atmosphere that your college can provide? And are they, you know, are they ready for that kind of a step up into that level? So there are a lot of things that I haven't seen as being a first year coach. So there's nothing I can say as far as experience on that front. But the things I've noticed right off the bat is there's just kind of a few more variables when it comes into finding your students and being able to select them.
Right. So it sounds like the recruitment piece is a big part of the job, rather when high school when it wasn't. Okay. Um,
Right.
so speaking of recruitment, I would like to talk to you about that. So I think a lot of parents want to know and players want to know, it's like being recruited for football or basketball, right? So what skills and what traits are you looking for in a recruit? And, is it, so the stereotype is that, okay, I need to be a really highly ranked player in order to get recruited. Otherwise, I'm not going to bother. Why bother? I won't get recruited. But it sounds like in talking to you that sometimes you could be an average or a decent player and still get recruited.
Absolutely. It it's always the idea that playing by yourself in solo queue, you can kind of get paired with some really bad people. However, if you're playing with a group of, your friends, or even on a team where you know where your weaknesses are and you know where your strengths are, you play better. And so many colleges out there, I mean, yeah, sure, they'd love to get those challenger tier players or those high grand master, but at the same time, they're very okay with going, yeah, hey, I'll take the guy that's platinum, but he's played on a team for 4 years. He knows how he works and he knows what his strengths and weaknesses are in a team group. And so whenever you add them into your group, they just have a better feel about how they play, as opposed to, oh yeah, I'll just say that every time I queue up, I get really bad teammates.
Right. So it sounds like some of the skills that you want to impart on them, the team building skills, the communication skills, they may already have that because they played on a team.
Yes, those would be, I mean, that's kind of the number one question whenever you ask any college, like, hey, what are you looking for? It's like, what's the first thing you ask a recruit? Is like, hey, have you played on a team? Because that tells you a lot more than just saying, hey, what's your rank? I mean, that tells you a lot, but gosh, trying to get to know the actual individual player and their personality and how they act in game is a lot more whenever you know the answer to have you played on a team and what role did you take in that team too.
Right, right, right. So that brings us back to Alex. Alex, you own Merck Esports, and I really want you to talk more about that because I think that's an area that not a lot of people are aware of. The amateur league, amateur team, because you're not quite high school, official high school team. You're not really on the collegiate level. Can you explain to us, like, what ages, for example, are there on the amateur team, and how do you get onto one of those teams?
Yeah, so I like to call it the Wild West because there is really no rule. Like, there's no rules or anything. There's no age requirements. I mean, um, I had teams where they were still in high school. I had teams where they were like 35 years old. So there's no age limit, you know. And honestly, anybody could join an amateur team. And there's tons of them out there. You can be silver or you can be challenger. It doesn't really matter. People are always looking for players. There's orgs always building teams. So there's plenty of opportunities, and it just kind of depends on where you want to go. Because there's plenty of orgs where it's just kind of for fun. Um, you know, maybe it's a group of friends, or maybe the org isn't as serious. But then there's other orgs where all they want is player improvement, and they'll take a group of like gold or a low rank, and they'll try to build up that rank to potentially they'll go from like platinum to diamond, and they'll try to take a group of like low elo people and bring them up. I've seen that a lot too.
So Alex, if I was a player and I was in high school, right, and I kind of play solo queue a lot, I think I'm all that, I'm really great. So how would I find an amateur league like yours? And also, is there a cost for me joining? And do I need to join with the whole team behind me, or can I just join as a single person?
You can join as a single player.
Okay.
You know, it it depends. There's no cost. Usually orgs will cover that cost for you
Mm.
if there's any cost. For my org, we cover all our team's fees, so they don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I kind of look at them as they're a part of the org. I need to provide for them because they're going to be playing for me.
Hmm.
So I get something from them, they get something from me. They don't have to worry about anything, but I get to own the team. Um, but it doesn't. You don't have to come with a full team either. You can just be a single player. The most important thing I would say is to network. The more people you know in the amateur scene, the better. And even if you're just popping into discords and saying hi,
Right.
the more you get your name out there, the more you post in these recruitment channels, the more people are going to get interested in you.
Hmm.
And I've talked to players where we'll have a situation where we'll have a player that we'd never heard of before, or we'll have a player that you know been in a couple orgs, has a really good background behind him, very presentable. People can back him up on what he or she has done.
Hmm.
So, if I have to choose, I'm going to go with the person that is more well known than the person that's just kind of popping up here randomly.
Hmm.
Because to me, that's kind of a risk. Because you're not really presentable. You're not really, you know, no
You
one
don't
knows
have,
you. So,
right, and you don't have as much experience, right? Like what Coach was talking about, that you play on a team, so therefore you kind of know basically how to behave,
yeah, exactly.
right, and what to expect. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So Coach, so we're talking about, if let's say I'm a player and I live in a very small town, you had talked about that. You're from Nebraska, right? And let's say my small little high school is a small school. I don't really have any team there. I don't really, and I don't think there's a support system for me to start my own esports team. So it sounds like if would joining like Merck's, amateur league, would that experience be good enough for you, for me to come to you later on and say, hey, coach, I would like to be recruited?
Yeah, absolutely. I would also say that there's more than likely more people at your high school that are interested in esports than you know. I mean, the school that I was coaching at, Elm Creek, I mean, it's a D school in Nebraska, so like maybe 300 plus students ish, and that's 7 through 12. So
Right,
for
right.
that,
Wow.
and we were able to pop up to about 15 students at our kind of our average, more or less. So there's a lot more people, even if they're not as, maybe there's like, I don't know what video games are and I'm not 100% sure, but they'll definitely try it and maybe they'll end up absolutely loving it. So, but I would say that, yeah, I mean, if you join an amateur league, I mean, experience is experience kind of no matter how you grab it. I
Hmm.
know that there are leagues out there like the HSEL who they don't really care if you're a part. They're all for high school based orgs, but they're not strictly your school only. You
Right.
can kind of join up with other high schoolers from your area and from your state or however that would work out. And so
Hmm.
you could join an org like that and go that route. But yeah, if you're able to hop on a team, that's experience that you'll be able to put forward on your resume when you apply.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Coach. Okay, so myself, I'm Katherine Amukte. My background is I was an engineer for many years, working in manufacturing. I started my career in esports really because as an engineering teacher at the high school level, they asked me to be team manager, which I really feel when Alex was saying, you need to find someone to back you, right? You need to find some adult support, and I was that mentor. And they, when they asked me to be a team manager. I didn't know what it was, but I thought, how hard could it be? It was really hard, mainly because I didn't know anything about esports. I didn't even know what League of Legends was until I saw it. And so, but it was really a learning experience for me. For me, it was a couple of things that our panel have talked about that was really important to me was that it was able to engage students that otherwise I couldn't engage. The kids who were quiet, who were loners, that didn't was not part of any particular group. And when we had our tryouts, my school is bigger. I mean, we had a couple of thousand kids, right, at a high school. I'm in a fairly big suburb in South Orange County, but we had tryouts. We had a lot of kids that have played. Of some, and that was just League of Legends. We had lots of kids who played League of Legends, some that were very quite good at it, and some that were just casual players. But you're right, we could easily, we had a club. I think at the highest we were like 40 kids, and that was really without even advertising. It's just like word of mouth. And from that 40 kids, we were able to get two teams relatively easily for that season. So it was a good, lot of fun. And during that process of doing that, engaging kids, we also realized that there were scholarships available, which is why Esports College and Career Pathway was born, because I felt that there was not a real good path between the high school player and the college player. There seems to be a gap. I think, Zach, you're really lucky and smart to have found your way to Bay State. I spend a lot of my days talking to parents just about the fact that, there is a real market. There is a real esports, culture out there at the collegiate level. So we do have some questions already from parents that have written into me. So I thought we'll go through all 6 questions and then please help me answer them. The first one, this is actually a funny one. What game should my 12-year-old play now so he can get a college scholarship? Um, Coach, you want to try that one?
Any game. And
Yeah.
that's really the answer for that is because we don't know what we don't know what the newest esport is going to be in even 3 years. I mean, right now, colleges really hopped on the Valorant train whenever it just released here, like this month. So, how could we ever have thought, oh yeah, something's going to come up there and kind of, share a space with Counter-Strike? We didn't know. So, I mean, you can just kind of say like, yeah, stick with, either games they enjoy and
Mhm.
styles they enjoy, or, if they just enjoy playing video games in general, find what the major titles are that really will help with that have the high skill cap more or less to them, and just work on those. But ultimately, until they're kind of a junior or a senior, play just sort of a variety and find out what you're really good at.
So you know what? Do you think skills are transferable? Like you bring up a really good point, right? CS:GO's been around forever and ever, and then Valorant showed up, and then suddenly it's a thing. So do you find that kids who play CS:GO kind of naturally progress toward Valorant because it's kind of the same skill set?
I'd say that and Overwatch. I mean, it's
Mm,
basically they're kind of in the first person shooter realm, so it's a lot of point and click. I mean, well, to simplify it, but yeah, and that with MOBAs, they're all generally about the same skill set of managing, um, just the abilities, cooldowns, trying to keep things in mind like that. Or you got like Rocket League, where it's a lot of manipulation, kind of in a 3D area. So yeah, they're transferable just based on kind of what genre they're a part of.
mhm. And I noticed that even, in the just the 3 or 4 years I've been in the industry, I found that games have really increased quite a bit at the college level. When I first started, I've only heard about League of Legends and Overwatch, at the collegiate level, right? And so like now, even talking to you and some of the other schools, you have Smash teams, you have Rocket League teams. So it seems like the number of games that a college can support has also increased as well.
Yeah, it's not too hard to kind of add yet another game into your group. It's just, whether or not you can manage all those different schedules. But yeah, it depending on what your college wants to have as far as games or how competitive they want to be, they can kind of just throw in things like, at Concordia, we're really considering Smash because we have a massive Smash following on campus. So
Mm-hmm.
even the campus culture can kind of shift where you want to go and what support you get.
Okay, fair enough. So I guess the short answer is that it could vary, right? Which games is popular, and if he or she is 12 years old now, by the time they get to be 18 and they're going to college, it could be a vastly different, set of games that they're supporting.
Correct.
Okay, our second question is, do you have to play on a high school team in order to be recruited? Who wants to take that one?
I don't think you have. I mean, it's definitely good to play on a high school team to be recruited. But I've kind of done both, and on the amateur side of things and the high school thing. And I think that both works out. I don't. I think most important thing is just to get involved.
Hmm.
I think that's the best thing to do. And it doesn't really matter if it's high school or if it's amateur or whatever it is. You just need to be involved and get your voice heard.
Okay, and then kind of network seems like it's important as well, and has some experience in playing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely networking is most important.
Okay, great. Okay, your third question is how do you get on to an amateur league? Okay, then Alex.
um, like I said, there's tons of discords that you can find, and you just you post, make a little post. It's usually like player recruitment or looking for team. And you just you say looking for team. You put your rank, put your position, what you want to what you want to play.
Hmm.
I primarily do league. So it'll be like looking for team ADC main. Here's my op.gg, and then you just see where it goes. If uh, someone messages you and they're interested, be respectful, be professional. That's you kind of, like I said, people will get to know you the more
Hmm.
you talk. So there's plenty of players that are kind of blacklisted because they just don't act professional or they're toxic. So that's very important in the amateur scene. Everybody knows each other, so if you do something and people find out about it, everyone's gonna hear it, and it might affect you in the long run.
I really appreciate you saying that. I think that's really important for both the players and the parents to understand that, although, we're all sitting in different parts of the country with our headset on and we're talking, right? And sometimes we forget that there's a person behind it and that when we behave badly, that actually have ramifications.
It has, there's been plenty of times where I had to turn down people because you just can't have them. You know, the Merc Esports is also part of my name.
Hmm.
So if I have someone that people don't agree with, I can't have that because it affects me.
Right.
They can be the best player in the world, but if they're toxic and they talk down to people, I'm not going to take them because it's going to make me look bad.
Right, right. Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
And while we're on this, I know that's not one of the questions that the parents asked, but I think one of the key things in last weekend's Fortnite, app tournament that we just did, Discord is not a well-known entity among non-gamers. So, would one of you help me explain in a very short, way to parents, like what is Discord and why, why should they join? Should they allow their child to join? That kind of stuff. Zach, would you
Um,
mind, Zach?
Yeah, I
yeah.
can do it. Yeah. So Discord's kind of like a platform where a bunch of people, gamers or non-gamers, can reach out to each other in a server to, compete in tournaments. Like you said, there's different tournament Discords, but there are also Discords for leagues and amateur teams that you can get into, and you can communicate with the players on the amateur teams and talk to them and get to know each other. It's basically like a huge platform to get to know each other in the esports scene.
Hmm. Right. And so it's very popular, right, within the esports arena, like for coaches as well as, for schools and organizations. But as a parent and as a teacher, I really like Discord because it was something that I could give somebody and they would not be able to know where I lived, for example. They would not know my full name. Whereas I felt that with email and with text messages, that if a phone number, you can trace somebody. And if someone's a minor, I felt very strongly that I didn't want my students' name to be out there, but I was okay with them creating Discord because then I felt that they were much safer. And also, you couldn't really just you couldn't really just communicate with someone through Discord. They have to accept you as a friend. So I felt that there was more safeguards against that versus the other ways of communicating. What do you guys think,
Yeah,
Coach?
I definitely agree with that. When we made our high school Discord, we definitely had to make a lot of rules and make sure people were respectful. Um, and it's a very hard and tricky thing to do because it's a bunch of teenagers. So, things are going to happen, things are going to get out of hand. One of the big things that helped us, and I suggest that, there's a lot of Discord servers that I'm on. And for the high school scene, I know that our assistant principals in our Discord. So, people are definitely not going to say something on our Discord anymore because, it's the assistant principal. So they have to be respectful.
Right, right.
Uh,
That's a really good point. So we do initiatives with the U.S. Marines, and so the Marines Discord, the minute the colonel got on there, it was silent. There was it was very well orchestrated communication. There were no cuss words. There was no bad language whatsoever. So that's a really good point, Alex. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay.
mhm.
All right, so next question. Okay, can you make a lot of money playing in tournaments? So maybe Ryan, could you help us with that?
Yes and no. I mean, the tournaments that I have hosted have all been the ones for the high school league, and so there hasn't really been a prize pool out of it because you're playing kind of for a state championship more or less. So a lot of it's more just based around the fame of, hey, look, we were state champions in Overwatch or state champions in Rocket League. So you kind of get a little bit more bragging rights than you do actual money, but I know that out there, and I'm sure both Zach and Alex can kind of attest to it more, that there are leagues that you can kind of make a either, small bits of money here and there, or if you're really good, you can kind of win it big.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I've been doing Merc Esports for about 2 years now. Um, and on my side so the way my org works, it's kind of split up right now. There's a co-owner, and he has his teams, and then I have my teams. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and I haven't won anything. So it's kind of a gamble. But his teams, just won Sugar Free League. They're stomping PRL right now. So, it's just trying to, find the right tournaments.
Hmm.
And this kind of figuring out how dedicated your team is. There's a lot of things that goes into being on a team and then also making money
Hmm.
from that team. And I didn't realize that at first because, I just was like, oh, I'm just gonna find the best players and then I'm just gonna win everything. No. Yeah, I had I did that at first, and then the team fell apart, and then I had to rebuild the team, and then the coaching staff fell apart, and then I had to find coaching staff, all this stuff, and it's really this, it's a it's a lot of work, but at the end, it's kind of worth it, because it's more about just getting your name out there.
Hmm.
Um,
I see Ryan's head nodding a lot. That yes, it's not easy, and yes, there's a lot to juggle.
yeah,
Between the teammates themselves and the coaching staff. Um, so the short answer is that winning a lot of money is probably hard, right? At the amateur level, because I know it's a lot of tournaments. There's a fee, a buy-in fee. Then you may or may not win. And if you do win, it's usually it's like half the pot or whatever it is. So it may not be a lot of money, but there's some money that could be made. Definitely looks like.
yeah. There's definitely some money.
Right. It seems also, this is a side note, but as you get better as a player, Zach and Alex, when you were getting better, as you getting older, right? Were you able to also coach other kids as well to make some money, or is that not really a thing?
I can speak on that. So yeah, there you can in the amateur scene. There are opportunities where teams do pay for coaches. So if you are a higher rank and you can go into, say you're a high diamond, low master player, you can go into a plat gold league or a low diamond league, and There's some teams that do offer prices for coaching those teams in the league itself. So yeah, if you are a high rank, you can take the route as a coach in an amateur scene.
Okay, very
You
good.
can definitely. There's
Yeah.
tons of coaches that I know that have contracts on orgs
Hmm.
in the amateur scene. So there's definitely that opportunity out there.
Okay, all right, good. All right. And sounds like the coaching part is more geared toward your rank more than age, right? I mean, you don't have to be like, 25 years old and be a rank. It's really the rank that counts.
No, I would say rank doesn't matter at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Um, I would just it's a lot of thing goes into coaching. Um, I can't really speak as like a league coach, but I can speak as like a football coach.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that goes into coaching, and I wasn't the very best player to say, but it's just having that experience. It's mostly just experience. It has nothing to do with rank.
Mm. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I can speak on that because I get the question sometimes of how do you coach somebody who's better than you,
Yeah.
and that's, I mean, that's true. I'm going to have players that even outscale me on the high school league within months of me just coaching them from the bottom up, and it's a lot more like, what are your skill sets? Are your skill sets more the analytics side? I don't have the reaction time. I mean, I'm starting to get up there as far as like I just don't play league as consistently as I used to, and so
Mhm.
it's like I'm losing that. However, I love to watch it. I love to analyze it. I really love to help theory craft around things. And so even though I can't physically sit there and say, look, you got to click that guy faster next time, I can sit there and say, look, let's break it down and try to figure out, how you can kind of outplay, outmaneuver, and do other things, and really think the overall strategy. So that's just kind of a big part of coaching, is really helping other players to improve, even if you aren't, that skilled yourself, but
In the
helping
in-game
them to
knowledge.
in game knowledge. Right, right. So
Right,
you're
right.
helping them to increase their own knowledge.
Okay, so it sounds like you're all in agreement that not just rank is not the highest criteria for judging, for coaching, but rather really the whole communication part of it and team building part and so on.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
definitely.
great. Okay, the next question is, that's a good question. How much does a coach cost in high school?
I
How
have
much,
plenty of experience on that.
like, how much
Uh,
do they get paid,
Get
or?
paid, I think. Yeah, I think the question is how
Oh,
much you get
okay.
paid.
well, so when I started my esports club here in Orange County,
Hmm.
there wasn't really anything. There wasn't any coaching available to us. We really had to find our own coaches. So a lot of it was just finding people online that was willing to coach for free.
Mm,
The only problem with that is it's not consistent.
right.
they would leave like a month later, or they'll leave after the season. So yeah, it was kind of tricky finding coaching, especially if you don't have a program.
Right.
Thankfully, NASF created a coaching program, and that was the league that we were signed up for, and I had a lot of involvement in. And it was great. We got a coach for a season for our teams, and I didn't have to worry about it. And they were just there all the time, and they were really good mentors too. I think that's the biggest takeaway from it.
Right. But that was because I was part of that league as well when I was, team managing for high school. And so the league itself paid for all these coaches to do this, to help all these, anybody that was in their a league was able to get a free coach. So I think that was, I don't know how much they were paid, but I know that that organization paid for the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So it sounds like it depends on where you are, whether it's online, in person, and most coaching is probably online, I would assume. At a
Yeah,
high school
most
level.
coaching is online. For NASA, for the finals, they actually flew out the coaches to
Wow.
be there with them, so that
Right.
was pretty cool. But yeah, it just depends on what league you sign up and what program you're involved in.
Hmm.
Um,
I
so
think if we had to throw a number down from my experience in doing this now, it's around $30 to $50 an hour. It seems like, depending
mhm.
on the level of the coach, how many years he or she have coached. Um, and also I think what part of the country you're in and also what game. I think it seems like it affects all that.
Yeah, all those factors affect it. I think mine, we got a couple offers for 15 hour. I think the lowest I got was maybe 20 an hour, but
Hmm.
it's
Right.
usually it's around there.
Hmm. Right. Okay. All right. I think this is our last question. Do you need a coach? And if yes, when should you start? I think it's a tough question to answer. Maybe Ryan can try to answer that.
It kind of depends on your scenario. I mean, if you're looking for a team to play with in an amateur league, I mean, you kind of end up all coaching each other. It's sort of the idea of if you know who your weakest player is and you're really trying to prop them up and try to get them better, then they'll do
Hmm.
the same thing for you.
Hmm.
Um, as far as on the high school side of things, just from the high school league I run, we require each team to have a coach that is a teacher at their school.
Hmm.
Really, because it most of the case on the high school level, it keeps the cohesion of the group better, and also it's somebody there to schedule your matches, to schedule your practices, to kind of do the side of things that as a student you wouldn't think about, maybe daily.
Hmm.
So as far as on the high school side and competing with a high school team against other schools, you do want somebody there. They're also kind of the main person who goes to the administration saying, hey, look, we need buses to go to this tournament in the nearby town. So having somebody to kind of field that is a lot better when it's a adult that's already involved in the school.
Right, right, right. Okay, so it's okay, I understand. So it'd be good to have especially at the high school level. I think this question may have come from a parent asking, let's say if their son or daughter is a player in high school, do you think that an average high school player who would like to get better and maybe be recruited, do you think it's necessary to have a coach
Mm.
at the high school level? Like a personal coach, I think.
I mean that,
Um,
yeah, maybe Alex can or Zach can field that better.
I mean, I had a player that played for my diamond team that got a personal coach that was trying to get recruited. And it just depends on the coach, and it depends on what you want to do. I know he's spent big money for that coach, and I don't think he really improved that much. But other people, they get personal coach, and they improve tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just finding the right coach and implementing what he says, and you know taking it very seriously. If you want to take it very seriously, you're gonna have to put in a lot of work. especially when you hire a personal coach because it's expensive. I've done personal coaching before, and it really adds up, because you can't really just get coaching for like an hour a week if you want to get to that level. I mean, you have to meet multiple times a week, and it really adds up.
So it sounds like it depends on how serious you take it, right? And you
Hmm.
can always try to coach somebody. If they don't do the homework behind it, they don't practice behind that. What you've learned, you won't get any better. Sounds like.
Hmm. And
And
this is where I'll kind of shout out amateur leagues. You know, you get on the amateur team, you're gonna have coach, and you're gonna have people that want to help the team succeed.
hmm
On all our teams, we have a coach, we have an analyst, and I'm trying to find people that also helps with like player development.
hmm
So basically, what we want to do is we want to have that coach that can help with the structure, but we also want to have somebody that can help players one on one and can create goals and have them climb,
hmm
and get better at the game on a personal level instead of just on a team level.
hmm I
And
understand.
I think a lot of amateur orgs will do that. And you know, even if you join an amateur org, there's plenty of higher level people that you can go to too.
hmm
I'm not the best player, but I have all these people that are like diamond and like mastery players. Of course, I'm going to take advantage of them. I always ask questions. I get VOD reviews from them all the time.
hmm
I really do annoy them sometimes because I ask so many questions. But it's just fun. You just got to ask. People are willing to do it.
Right.
You just got to ask people.
So it sounds like it goes back to networking, right? That you put yourself out there, you network, you find help. Not necessarily you don't have to pay someone, but maybe you help them, they help you, kind of thing. So it sounds like the industry and the environment is very conducive to helping each other, and a lot of the stuff that you can do to get yourself better in the game and being networking really does not cost money. It just takes time and you putting yourself out there.
And it doesn't, I mean, necessarily, you don't even have to do anything for the other person. You know, when you're on an org, there's kind of a culture around it. And I think, everybody wants other teams to succeed.
hmm
So, you know, it's not just me, there's plenty of like our other teams,
hmm
just normal players will go to the higher level players and ask questions. And
Right.
they're always willing to help, that's when they, when we had some of the higher players join, they said, have them ask us questions. They want to be asked questions because
hmm
they have all this knowledge in the game. You know,
Right.
they want to use it. They want to tell other people and improve the org.
Right, right. Of course, of course. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate your time today. So a shout out to Merck Esports, Alex Navarro, Zach Robinson from Bay State College, and of course, Coach Ryan Hines from Concordia University, Nebraska. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it. On behalf of all the parents, we really want to thank you. The last thing I want to show was just a schedule of our summer workshop that's coming up. Again, we support Rocket League, Fortnite, League of Legends, Overwatch, and Minecraft. And of course, all these camps, they're weekly, and we will have coaches that are highly ranked and have experience to coach the students in each of the sessions. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you so much again. And I'm just going to leave this up here for a couple of minutes in case anybody has any questions. They can always contact me. But thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time. It's been a lot of fun, and I learned a lot myself.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so I will stop sharing. So tell me, guys, how was it? Was it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah.
good.
Okay, I will start recording.